The markets closing after a day rocked by shaky economic news.
Those rebates on shiny new trucks?
Ford's fight back against sinking profits begins today.
The three best-selling vehicles in America have been full-size pickup trucks. It's the Ford F-150, the Chevrolet Silverado, and the Ram 1500.
They're not deals, they're bait. 0% financing, cashback, one-time only promos, they're flooding back as dealers panic. But every incentive hides strings that pull money right out of your pocket. And right now, those strings are tighter than ever. Why are dealers suddenly giving away free money? What are you really losing when you take the bait? And how do you flip their panic into your advantage? Inventory shock. The hum of America's truck showrooms has gone eerily silent, and the staggering numbers now pouring in prove that what once felt unstoppable is finally cracking. For decades, American pickup trucks were a guaranteed seller, the crown jewel of Detroit's profit machine. But by the summer of 2025, the rhythm faltered. Dealership lots that once turned over stock within weeks suddenly looked like parking lots for an abandoned fairground. Rows of Ford F-Series, Ram 1500s, and Chevrolet Silverados sat idle, shimmering under relentless sun, with buyers nowhere in sight. In some regions, supply levels stretched past 90 days, and whispers spread of units sitting untouched for more than 120. Inventory that this bloated is not a slowdown, it is a stall. Trucks built in January were still unsold in June, with no test drives logged, no signatures inked, and no urgency from buyers who knew the tide was turning. For consumers, this glut is more than a curiosity. It signals power shifting. Unsold trucks equal mounting costs for dealers, and mounting costs equal leverage for shoppers. Prices will bend, not because automakers want them to, but because the math leaves no alternative. But discounts are not charity. They are the first move in a dangerous game. Incentives return. What looks like 0% generosity on the showroom banner is nothing more than financial misdirection, an illusion designed to dazzle buyers while quietly stacking the deck against them. As inventory ballooned, automakers dusted off old playbooks. Rebates reappeared, financing promos resurfaced, and television ads once again promised once-in-a-lifetime deals. To the casual buyer, it looked like salvation, a return to the days when sticker shock could be softened with a fat rebate check. Yet the reality is more cunning. Incentives are never neutral. When a dealer waves the magic words 0% APR, it often comes with invisible strings. Opting for that shiny financing usually means forfeiting thousands in hidden rebates or cashback offers. The loan terms can stretch longer than expected, locking buyers into contracts that look painless monthly, but add years of obligation. For automakers, this tactic protects margins. By keeping official sticker prices high while sprinkling selective discounts, they maintain the illusion of premium value while shifting the burden onto financing arms. For buyers, it creates confusion. Are you saving money or just rearranging it on the balance sheet? And even as buyers calculate, they are discovering trucks themselves no longer match what they were sold. If this is already opening your eyes, hit the subscribe button right now. It helps more people see what's really going on, and I want to hear from you. Are you waiting to buy or already feeling the pressure? Drop a comment. Your story might help someone else. Peak Truck, the pickup truck, once the rugged symbol of working-class pride, has now swelled into something unrecognizable, an overbuilt machine that outgrew the very people who made it iconic. For years, automakers assumed bigger meant better. They added luxury interiors, panoramic sunroofs, massage seats, and technology suites more advanced than most offices. Trims once reserved for executives swelled into six-figure stickers, but in chasing margins, the industry abandoned its roots. Contractors, farmers, and tradesmen, the very audience who built the pickup into a national symbol, began to recoil. Viral videos spread, a contractor pointing at a $65,000 Ram and shaking his head, muttering that he needed a tool, not a spaceship. The cultural dislocation was profound. A pickup was once a badge of blue-collar pride, a working machine for hauling lumber and towing trailers. Now it risked becoming a rolling contradiction. Too luxurious to scratch, too expensive to work, too bloated for everyday roads. Buyers began walking away not only because of affordability, but because of identity. Their truck no longer looked like theirs. But culture was not the only crack. Politics soon shattered the market in half. Tariff chaos. In today's collapsing truck market, the badge on the grille matters less than the factory behind it, because where a truck is built now determines its fate far more than what it actually is. In early spring, Tariffs reshuffled the truck market like a deck of mismatched cards. A Silverado assembled in Mexico suddenly jumped in price, while a nearly identical version built in Indiana dropped thanks to regional incentives and untouched supply. In Ohio, buyers could find two trucks parked side by side, one listed at $56,000 and the other at $48,000. The only difference being where the bolts were tightened. Confusion reigned. 0% trap. What looks like free money on a shiny 0% financing deal quickly turns costly when it quietly strips away your rebate and locks you into terms that favor the dealer, not you. 0% financing has long been marketed as a buyer's dream. On paper, it looks unbeatable. No interest, predictable monthly payments, and a shiny new truck. Yet the fine print hides the sting. Choosing that option almost always disqualifies the buyer from thousands in rebates or cashback incentives. A truck listed at $53,000 might quietly rise to $55,000 when the financing package is applied. But because the monthly cost looks smooth, many shoppers do not blink. The trap does not stop there. Terms can be rigid, approvals stricter, and resale value compromised. Behind the curtain, dealers are reimbursed by the manufacturer's financing arm for pushing the program, so the cycle keeps spinning. For the customer, what felt like free money often costs more in the long run. By midsummer, panic was not hidden in the contracts. It was visible in the empty showrooms. Showroom silence? Few sounds hit harder than the deafening silence of a sales floor lined with unsold trucks, where every quiet moment echoes the collapse the numbers can no longer hide. By the early summer of 2025, dealers in truck country were facing a nightmare they had not seen since the financial crisis of 2008. Walk-ins dried up, test drives stopped, phones went quiet. Gleaming rows of full-size trucks sat under fluorescent lights, looking more like museum pieces than merchandise. For dealers, silence meant danger. Every day a truck remained unsold, it accrued costs through what insiders call floor plan debt. After 90 days, each unsold unit became radioactive, weighing down the dealership's books. By 120 days, managers were staring at vehicles they would lose money on no matter what. In desperation, markdowns piled on top of rebates, trade-in bonuses, and whispered deals. Profit became irrelevant. Survival became the only metric that mattered. And when one brand broke ranks, the war began. Price war ignites. One quietly leaked rebate sheet was all it took to ignite a firestorm across the entire truck industry, forcing every major brand into a battle they could no longer avoid. It started quietly, with Ram offering up to $12,000 off select trims in Arizona. Within a week, Ford retaliated, slapping 0% financing on F-150 stock. General Motors could not afford to stand still and answered with multi-thousand-dollar trade-in bonuses on Silverados. Suddenly, the gloves were off. By August, stacked incentives appeared that had not been seen since 2008. Loyalty cash combined with down payment assistance, regional rebates piled on top of factory discounts, and even high-margin trims were tossed into the fire. A truck that listed for $65,000 in spring could now be had for $54,000 in certain zip codes. The big three were locked in a battle not to gain share, but to avoid losing it. The only rule was to move metal, whatever the cost. But the biggest casualty was not balance sheets. It was buyer confidence, buyer's remorse. Nothing races through social media faster than raw regret, backed by receipts, where screenshots of better deals turn proud new truck owners into viral cautionary tales overnight. In Facebook groups and TikTok feeds, proud new truck owners began sharing their purchases, only to be met with brutal screenshots. Someone who paid $34,000 for a Ford Maverick in Kentucky discovered the identical trim listed for $26,000 just 3 states away. Forums filled with anger, dubbing it truck tax trauma. This viral regret poisoned the market. Why would anyone buy today if tomorrow's price might be thousands lower? Dealers scrambled to contain the damage with geo-fenced online ads and limited-time VN-specific discounts, hoping to prevent buyers from comparing across states. Yet the damage was done. The trust between dealer and customer cracked in real time. What once felt like a proud purchase now looked like a costly mistake. And just when the big three tried to regain control, an outsider proved less could be worth more. Minimalist threat. Having just enough truck, stripped down, affordable, and practical, poses a greater danger to the industry than oversized luxury ever did, because it proves buyers never needed the excess in the first place. Into this chaos stepped a new kind of competitor, the minimalist pickup. Sold through direct-to-consumer channels, these trucks stripped away luxury and focused on price. Instead of trims stacked with features nobody requested, buyers were offered a base platform with add-ons, a radio for $200, air conditioning for $400, solar panels for a little more. The appeal was immediate. Shoppers tired of bloated trucks saw transparency and simplicity as refreshing. There were no markups, no dealer games, no fine print rebates. Just function at a price the working class could afford. Legacy brands panicked. If consumers decided enough was good enough, the entire six-figure luxury tier would collapse like a house of cards. What began as a gimmick threatened to become the new normal. But the price collapse did not stop with trucks. It tore through jobs, politics, and entire towns. Factory cuts. When the steady churn of truck sales grinds to a halt, the assembly lines follow suit. Shifts vanish overnight, and the communities built around them feel the shock first. By the late summer of 2025, the slowdown on dealer lots began rippling into the factories. Plants in Michigan, Indiana, and Texas, once buzzing with overtime, suddenly cut second shifts. In Flint, workers showed up only to find a new schedule taped to the gate, their hours slashed without warning. Rumors of temporary layoffs quickly hardened into reality. For families who had built their lives around steady truck production, the silence of an idle assembly line hit harder than any discounted sticker price. Communities that relied on these jobs for mortgages, school funding, and small business customers found themselves teetering. Union leaders accused automakers of chasing luxury profits and abandoning the working class. What once looked like a proud industry now felt like a betrayal. The fury was directed squarely at executives who priced their trucks out of reach of ordinary buyers, only to leave workers carrying the consequences. And soon, governors who once promised jobs were left scrambling. Tariff backfire. The promises made at the podium spoke of prosperity and protection. Yet out on the dealer lots, those same policies delivered nothing but chaos, confusion, and a market spiraling out of control. When tariffs were first announced on imported vehicles, politicians sold them as a patriotic shield for American labor. The rhetoric was bold. Foreign trucks would face penalties, and domestic plants would roar back to life. But by the fall of 2025, the results told a different story. Retaliatory fees from trade partners sent supply chains into disarray, while component shortages made production less predictable, not more. States that had poured subsidies into battery plants and assembly lines faced embarrassing slowdowns. In Tennessee, a highly publicized facility produced fewer units than expected, forcing local leaders to scramble for explanations. In Michigan, unemployment insurance budgets strained as auto layoffs piled up. Governors who had cut ribbons on grand openings now faced angry constituents and shuttered gates. Instead of stability, tariffs had unleashed volatility. While politicians pointed fingers, buyers discovered they finally had power. Buyer's playbook. For the first time in many years, the balance of power has shifted, and it is the buyer, not the automaker or the dealer, who sets the terms and dictates how the game is played. In the chaos of collapsing truck prices, consumers began to realize they finally held the advantage. Shoppers learned to target VIN-aged inventory, the trucks that had been stuck on lots for more than 90 days and were financial poison for dealers. Others crossed state lines to exploit pricing gaps created by tariffs, comparing build codes and plant origins like stock traders. Online communities became clearinghouses of knowledge, where buyers shared rebate spreadsheets and leaked dealer memos in real time. This new transparency was devastating to the old dealership playbook. Shoppers refused to accept MSRP, demanded bottom-line quotes in writing, and stacked loyalty, conquest, and financing incentives, like pros. Video tutorials teaching negotiation tactics went viral, helping ordinary families shave thousands off their purchase price. For once, it was not the dealer calling the plays, it was the buyer. But this was not just saving money. It was a wealth transfer unfolding in real time. If you've stayed with me this far, you're clearly not here to be blindsided. I break down stories like this every single week, truths buried under headlines, numbers that matter, and strategies most people miss. So hit subscribe now and never get caught off guard again. Wealth transfer. For more than a decade, the soaring premiums funneled wealth upward into corporate hands. But now the tide has turned, and the savings are finally flowing back down to the buyers who were once squeezed. What unfolded in the truck market was more than a sales slump. It was a redistribution of value. Automakers that once relied on inflated trims and financing profits saw their margins collapse. Finance arms, which had thrived on interest-heavy loans, suddenly faced buyers paying less up front. Insurance companies adjusted premiums downward as vehicle valuations slid. Wall Street, long accustomed to steady returns from America's most profitable segment, downgraded forecasts. But on the ground, consumers captured the upside. Families who had been priced out of the market just a year earlier now drove away in trucks discounted by $10,000 or even $15,000. The middle class, squeezed for years, was finally buying assets at a discount rather than a premium. Trucks became the front line in a broader shift of economic power, from corporations and financiers back to ordinary people. And if trucks can collapse like this, imagine what happens when the same storm hits the rest of the auto market. The collapse of truck prices isn't just a headline, it's a warning shot. We've seen how factories falter, dealers panic, and buyers finally take back control. But this story doesn't end here. And if you walk away now, you'll miss the next wave already forming. That's why I'm asking you, don't just watch, act. Hit the like button if this opened your eyes. Drop a comment with your experience so others can learn from it. And most importantly, subscribe right now. Because every week I uncover the stories buried under numbers and headlines, the ones that protect your wallet, your choices, and your future. Don't get caught off guard. Stay ahead, stay smart, and I'll see you in the next one. Savvy shoppers adapted fast. Online forums lit up with spreadsheets cataloging VIN codes, factory origins, and loopholes. Buyers drove across state lines to exploit mispriced inventory, turning the purchase of a truck into a tactical exercise. For some, the game delivered thousands in savings. For others, it revealed how fragile the industry's pricing logic had become. Trucks were no longer priced by features or trims, but by politics and geography. Yet while tariffs fractured prices, a new kind of disruption was already undercutting the whole idea of what a truck should cost. EV undercut. Electric trucks were never required to conquer the market with perfection or power, because the moment they showed up at a lower price, they rewrote the entire game and left legacy giants scrambling. For years, the promise of battery-powered pickups felt futuristic but out of reach. Tesla's Cybertruck had been teased as a revolutionary workhorse at a starting price under $40,000, but delays and redesigns pushed its base price closer to $65,000. Ford's F-150 Lightning, once hailed as the first mainstream electric truck, also drifted far from affordability, with trims climbing well into the $60,000 range. Shoppers who expected innovation and value instead saw sticker shock and missed deadlines. Then came a new wave of leaner electric entrants. Startups rolled out simplified, utility-first pickups that stripped away luxury and focused on price. Post-incentive costs dipping under $20,000 changed the battlefield overnight. Consumers realized they did not need space-age designs or deluxe interiors. They needed function at a fair price. Legacy automakers suddenly looked out of step, and when the high-end trims buckle, the whole pyramid tumbles down. Luxury collapse. When the gleaming luxury trims of pickup trucks begin to sink under their own weight, they drag down not just prestige and profits, but the entire market structure that once propped them up. For a decade, six-figure pickups were the industry's golden goose. Models like Ford's Platinum, Ram's Tungsten, and GMC's Denali fetched $80,000 to $90,000 with ease, offering wood-grain dashboards, leather interiors, and technology packages rivaling luxury sedans. But by mid-2025, those trucks began piling up unsold. Dealers whispered about trophy models that could not move even with aggressive promotions. Trade-in values tumbled by more than 15% in a matter of months. A Ram Tungsten bought for $92,000 could not fetch more than $78,000 on resale. That kind of collapse does not stay contained. It erodes brand prestige, spooks wealthy buyers, and signals to ordinary shoppers that the whole category is overpriced. Wall Street analysts took notice, questioning whether Detroit's profit strategy had been built on sand. Automakers could absorb losses, but dealers had no such cushion, so they turned to tricks. Loss leader lure. That flashy, too-good-to-be-true truck ad plastered across billboards was never designed to put you in that bargain model. It was crafted to pull you through the doors and push you towards something far more expensive. In towns across America, billboards screamed about brand new full-size trucks for under $32,000. Buyers rushed in with pre-approved loans and trade-ins ready, only to discover bare-bones models with roll-down windows, no infotainment screens, and manual locks. These vehicles were not built for real customers. They were built as psychological anchors. Dealers call them loss leaders. The idea is simple. Showcase an impossibly low price to get buyers in the door, then steer them toward the better fit trim that costs thousands more. Human psychology does the rest. Once the buyer sees the stripped model as the baseline, spending $5,000 more feels reasonable, even if the original intention was to stay under budget. In most cases, customers drive away with a far pricier truck than planned. And the most seductive lever of all? A loan that looked free.